Invited guests, announcing the arrival of the Chief of Army Staff.
To most sincerely welcome all our distinguished guests and participants to this workshop on compliance with Assets Declaration and Code of Conduct. This workshop is a collaborative effort between the Nigerian Army and the Code of Conduct Bureau. The Code of Conduct Bureau, in carrying out its mandatory function, deemed it necessary to acquaint officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army with the nitty-gritty of asset declaration and code of conduct for public officers. This workshop, being the first of its kind in Nigerian Army's recent history, is a clear demonstration and attestation of the Chief of Army Staff's unwavering commitment to enhancing the culture of responsiveness, probity, prudence, and accountable responsibility in the Nigerian Army. To this end, the Chief of Army Staff graciously approved the conduct of this workshop for the Code of Conduct Bureau in collaboration with the Department of Army Standards and Evaluation at this center. The workshop is timely as it offers officers and soldiers the opportunity to understand fully the requirements for code of conduct and asset declaration, as well as consequences of non-compliance. The workshop is expected to further provide a practical guide on the completion of asset declaration form. In the next 2 days, the Bureau will ensure that all participants are abreast of the extant regulations relating to code of conduct for public officers. As a department, we are resolute in our quest to leave no stone unturned in translating the laudable vision of the Chief of Army Staff into concrete realities by ensuring that standards are maintained in all Nigerian Army's activities consistent with international best practices. We are particularly not unmindful of the fact that this workshop is coming at a time that the collective will, commitment, and professionalism of the Nigerian Army is being tested by contemporary events that exert strains and pains on our collective aspiration as a nation. It is against this background that the workshop has been carefully designed and packaged in such a way that participants will derive maximum benefits while in the service of the Nigerian Army. During the workshop, erudite scholars and experts in the area of assets declaration and code of conduct will deliver lectures to participants. The topics of the lectures explicitly justify the relevance of the workshop. It is an avenue to enlighten, educate, and sensitize officers and soldiers on code of conduct for public officers and their constitutional responsibilities, as well as the inherent dangers of non-compliance with the code. To achieve this purpose, the workshop will commence on the first day, that is today, with 2 lectures. The first lecture will be on Code of Conduct Act and Code of Ethics in Government Business, while the second will be from Code of Conduct Bureau 1, which will at the end dovetail into practical sessions. On the second day, 2 papers will also be presented covering conflict of interest, issues and challenges. And the next will be service ethics and problems on non-compliance among public officers. The program will end with a workshop, an interactive session designed to assist participants understand the process of filling the asset declaration form. Finally, I would like to express my gratitude to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General T.Y. Buratai, for not only authorizing the conduct of this workshop, but for also being here personally to declare the workshop open. This gesture clearly exemplifies the pragmatic and visionary leadership of the Chief of Army Staff, as eloquently expressed in his vision, which is to have a professional, responsive Nigerian army in the search of its constitutional rules. In the same vein, let me appreciate and welcome most sincerely in a special way the chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau, ably represented today this occasion by Professor Samuel Ogundare and other members of the board, for finding time to grace this occasion. The Chief of Policy and Plans, Nigerian Army, Principal Staff Officers at Army Headquarters, Directors General, Directors, Senior Officers, gentlemen, ladies, and members of the press. I thank you for honoring our invitation.
Participants, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our chairman, Professor Isa Mohammed, I bring you our words of expression of gratitude for accepting this program. Indeed, the high level of receptivity that you have given to this program, right from the time that we started the preliminary discussion, have given us a sense of humility more than before, that you have actually come to assist us. I want to thank you most sincerely for finding time, the Chief of Army Staff, to personally be here with us. And it has given credence to all that these senior army officers have all said about you. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Well, sirs, why are we here indeed? The Code of Conduct is barely 30 years old now, and perhaps we are so near but so far from one another. Just over there at the Federal Secretariat, and you are here too. But it seems the fence has been so tall that no one has been able to climb it until now. We want to thank you for lowering the fence and for us to come in this time. Well, sir, all over the world now, governments have come to realize the importance of public moral conduct, perhaps more than ever before. Today, governments have realized the contributions of public officers' morality, that it contributes to the quality of democratic governance, that it contributes to economic and social progression, that it contributes to restoration of confidence in government all over the world, that it provides recognizable standards of conduct, and that it provides a flourishing ground for national and international markets. Now, Nigeria cannot but take its place in the Committee of Nations as far as keying into what the United Nations, since December 10, 1996, have come up in terms of resolution on actions against corruption. Well, in our own home now, Nigeria, it has come to a naked position, the issue of ethical conduct. We are now living witnesses of what is happening. And the bottom line of all this, or the common denominator that we can see, is just like your professor would say, with all respect, is indiscipline. Indiscipline in public life. So the Code of Conduct is out to come up with a campaign on ethical purity. And we consider the criticality of this organization, the military service. The military, which is known worldwide as a disciplined and a highly organized service. The military has its own code of conduct. But if now we synergize with what you have and what even the Constitution of Nigeria provides for us, we have the hope that we can move a little faster and better than what we have now. So we are not here only to dish out very freshly. We also want to learn from you, sir, and from your distinguished men of valor. Beyond this is the fact that we want to seek, most humbly, sir, how we can begin partnering with you right from the training session. By the time you begin to recruit your men and officers. We understand that your curriculum may be already fully loaded, but can we please have an infusion of one or two of these courses in the preparation of your men in the service, so that they will grow up with these courses as in the service, and perhaps come up with a wider vision than what we presently have. Then the other issues are, and why we are here, is to see how what we call ethical structure can be built. We do know that you have one, but when we now want to marry this with the constitutional codes, or what we may term as social codes now, or morality, we want to see if you can find a place in the building of your ethical structure. Ethical structure is just simply referring to the modalities that will be in place as far as building this culture is concerned, such as, do we have specific codes that we can be citing, we can be relying, we can be reciting, or we can just make as part of our service? Will we have a management body that will be looking into any infraction of these schools? Can we also have incentives for living in high level of morality? These are the things we want to leave behind after this sensitization program.
I'm highly delighted to be here this morning to deliver and, of course, declare the 2 days workshop on compliance with asset declaration and code of conduct for personnel of the Nigerian Army. Let me warmly welcome the chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau and thank him immensely for creating time to grace this event. This workshop is very important for the personnel of the Nigerian Army, as it affords us the opportunity to fulfill our obligations as public officers in line with the provisions of the 5th schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The Nigerian Army under my leadership is desirous of maintaining the highest standard of accountability in the conduct of our activities, consistent with the requirements and behavior of public officers, which conforms to the highest standards of probity, public morality, transparency, and accountability. Accordingly, I have directed that the same workshop be conducted in the 6 Nigerian Army divisions nationwide. My directive is premised on the belief that every personnel of Nigerian Army entrusted with leadership responsibility must understand the primacy of asset declaration and code of conduct for public officers and comply with all its provisions and requirements. This is so because accountability is a prerequisite for driving the fight against corruption, which is one of the major focuses of the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. It is gratifying to note that one of the main objectives of this workshop is to educate and sensitize officers and men of the Nigerian Army on asset declaration and code of conduct for public officers, as well as the consequences of non-compliance. As members of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, strict compliance with the provisions of the Code of Conduct is a constitutional responsibility that must be respected. I am optimistic that at the end of the two-day workshop, all participants will have acquired sufficient knowledge and better informed about asset declaration and other requirements of the Code of Conduct Bureau. Since my assumption of office as the Chief of Army Staff, I have always canvassed and pursued a system that emphasizes judicious utilization of scarce resources to optimize value for money. Undeniably, the Nigerian Army has fully complied with the requirements of the Bureau for public procurement, thus enhancing transparency and prudence in financial management. Furthermore, we established the Nigerian Army Directorate of Financial Management as part of our clear commitment to the principles of accountability, prudence, and probity in the management of our financial resources. Amongst the tasks of this directorate is the continuous auditing of all our accounts. Such practices greatly helped to minimize waste and ensure judicious application of funds. This is in consonance with my vision, which is to have a professionally responsive Nigerian Army in the discharge of its constitutional roles. At this juncture, I wish to enjoin all participants to take advantage of the opportunity offered by the training workshop to thoroughly understand the requirements for asset declaration and code of conduct for public officers. I charge you all to share the knowledge acquired at this workshop with your colleagues and troops under command in your respective formations and establishments. Finally, may I take this time to appreciate the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, for his continued and untiring support to the Nigerian Army. I wish to once again reaffirm the loyalty of all officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army and our total subordination to civil authority. The special guest of honor, the Chairman, Code of Conduct Bureau, did make some observations and requests. I know the issue of partnership is very fundamental. And with this request, I want to assure you that henceforth, we'll be partnering with you. Our young officers graduating from the Defense Academy, they are normally assembled at Sati in Taraba State for 3 months cadre. I will use this opportunity to always invite you to deliver 2 or 3 days lecture and let them be acquainted with the Code of Conduct Bureau forms. I think this will go a long way in ensuring that right from the start, officers know what it is to really be accountable. The ethical structure, I've just mentioned the issue of the 5th schedule, and it is also repeated in our Armed Forces Act and the harmonized terms and conditions of service. We have the Department of Standards and Evaluation is also to ensure that not only in terms of the standard of works, they also evaluate and ensure that we abide by all the ethical requirements of our service. And of course, you can see the military police is there to enforce. The Provost Marshal is ready, and at any time we have any breaches, they take necessary steps to get it under control. Well, in terms of incentives, I want to assure you that we will encourage our officers to comply, and we will put it into thought. We will think over it and see what incentives we will bring in the course of our officers who have exemplified good conduct in the course of service. In the past, we have given some awards and rewards, including the Chief of Army Staff Commendation Awards for honesty and dedication to duty. I think we will take it up further to see how we can extend it and becomes regular. So on this note, our special guests, senior officers, gentlemen, it is my pleasure to declare open the two-day workshop on strict compliance with asset declaration and code of conduct for officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army. Thank you and God bless.
Yeah.